At least in jail, they'll feed me. That's what a 20-year-old Russian tourist in Pattaya decided and deliberately walked himself into a cell. He flew to Thailand dreaming of a fresh start. 3 days later, he had nothing left. No money, no phone, no documents. 2 days after that, no food, no water. This is a story about how one wrong move turns a vacation into pure survival, and why sometimes a jail cell seems like salvation. Daniil is 20. While his parents were vacationing in Egypt, he decided to chase his lifelong dream, make it to Thailand. He basically emptied his piggy bank, bought the cheapest tickets with a million layovers, and made it to Sin City. He showed up planning to stay forever with 6,000 baht in his pocket. That's about 170 bucks in Pattaya during peak season. You do the math. The money was gone within 24 hours. Here's the thing. Pattaya is dirt cheap if you know what you're doing. You can grab pad thai for 40 baht, rent a room for 300 to 400 baht a night if you're cool sleeping in a shoebox with questionable stains on the walls. But this kid had zero street smarts, zero plan, just showed up thinking paradise would somehow sort itself out. So our genius here pawned his brand new iPhone, a birthday gift from his folks, for 15,000 baht. Got himself some beat up secondhand piece of garbage in return. Let me break down just how badly he got screwed. A new iPhone in Thailand goes for 30,000 to 40,000 baht easy. The pawn shop owner must have thought he'd won the lottery, like some clueless foreigner handing over a mint condition phone for pennies on the dollar. Our heroes got cash again, and all around him, those tempting green five-pointed leaves. Now here's something you need to understand about Thailand and weed. Back in 2022, they decriminalized cannabis. Overnight, ganja shops started popping up on every corner like Starbucks. Places with names like High Society and Green Heaven with massive pot leaf graphics in the windows. For a young, broke, confused kid from Russia where weed can land you in serious hot water, this must have looked like Disneyland. Daniil held out for 2 days. 2 full days walking past these shops, watching other tourists walk out with pre-rolled joints, edibles, all kinds of stuff. The peer pressure in Pattaya is insane. Everyone's partying, everyone's trying something, everyone's living their best life for the gram. Day 3, he caved, walked into a ganja shop, and dropped 300 baht on a joint. After that, complete blackout. Here's what probably went down, though he doesn't remember. Smoked that joint, got way too high for a first-timer, and wandered into one of the countless bars. Maybe bought a few drinks. Maybe ran into people who seemed friendly but weren't. Maybe got his pockets picked clean. Maybe just made a series of increasingly stupid decisions while completely baked. Pattaya is crawling with predators who can spot a vulnerable tourist from a mile away. And Daniil, he had a giant bullseye painted on his back. He came to in a hostel, his body somehow autopiloted back. No money, the secondhand phone smashed to pieces, documents gone. Why the hell were you carrying your passport around to bars, you might ask? He's been asked that more than once. The answer was simple. They wouldn't sell me beer or cigarettes without ID. Same deal back in Russia. Kid stuff, literally. Looked about 16, max, round face, naive, wide-eyed stare, total high schooler. Nobody believed he was 20, so he had to constantly flash his passport to prove he was legal. Sure, Thai law requires foreigners to carry their passport at all times, though most seasoned expats will tell you, carry a copy, keep the original in a safe, but Daniil didn't know that. Nobody told him. With his suitcase full of winter clothes, Daniil spent 2 nights sleeping on Beach Road. It was New Year's. In all the chaos and crowds, he blended right in with the Thai locals camping out on the sand. Picture this. Beach Road transformed into one massive, never-ending party. Thousands of tourists from every corner of the planet, all crammed onto one strip of beach. Neon lights everywhere, music blasting from bars so loud you go deaf. Walking Street turns into a human river flowing both ways. Drunk backpackers, ladyboys in sequin dresses, tuk-tuks honking nonstop. Thai families set up camp right on the sand. tarps, coolers, grills, the whole 9 yards. Some crash there because hotels are either packed solid or charging triple. On New Year's, the city's population doubles, maybe triples, a TMS run dry. It's the kind of place where you can disappear into the crowd and nobody notices, where tourists lose their wallets, their minds, and sometimes, like Daniil, their entire life plan. In this chaos, a starving kid with a suitcase of winter clothes just vanished into thin air. Think about that for a second. He's got a winter jacket, probably some sweaters, maybe boots, completely useless in 90-degree heat with suffocating humidity. But he dragged that suitcase around like a security blanket because it was his last connection to his old life. 2 long days with no food or water. In Pattaya, you can't walk 10 feet without seeing food. Street carts on every corner selling mango sticky rice, grilled chicken, fresh fruit smoothies. The smell of grilled meat follows you everywhere. The air reeks of seafood mixed with cigarette smoke and that tropical humidity that makes your shirt stick to your back. Everywhere. Street vendors with food, bars, restaurants, tourists eating and drinking left and right, dropping hundreds of dollars on bottles and entertainment, and he's just sitting there, starving, surrounded by abundance, not a single thought about what to do next. Here's what gets me. Pattaya has a Russian community, Russian restaurants, Russian-speaking tour guides, Russian expats who've lived there for years. All he had to do was walk into any place with Cyrillic on the sign and ask for help. But when you're 20, broke, scared, and probably in shock, logic goes straight out the window. Eventually, he went to the police station, took a number, and sat there at the Soi 9 station for hours on end. Nobody gave a damn. Got nowhere. The Soi 9 station during New Year's is a nightmare. Packed with tourists reporting stolen phones, lost passports, bar fights, traffic accidents. The cops are swamped and understaffed. They probably took one look at this disheveled kid with no documents and thought, great, another problem I don't have time for. That's when a bold plan formed in his head. Probably seemed brilliant from dehydration. Now those cops will come running to me real quick. Daniil walked out of the station, turned left, sat down at the first bar he saw, ordered a liter of water, pizza, and spaghetti bolognese. Absolutely demolished it all. Imagine the staff watching this kid completely destroy his food. He probably looked like he hadn't eaten in days, because he hadn't. The water vanished in seconds. The pizza and pasta didn't stand a chance. And when they brought the bill for over 1,000 baht, he turned his pockets inside out and said, "Call the cops." Believe it? It worked. The restaurant called the police. They showed up, busted him for theft of services, basically dining and ditching, and just like that, Daniil achieved his goal. Government housing and meals. 2 days at 500 baht per day, Daniil sat in the holding cell without trial or investigation. Did his time, no visa overstay, and after 48 hours, they cut him loose. In Thailand, petty offenses like this get handled fast. Either pay the fine or work it off in detention at 500 baht a day. Since Daniil had nothing to pay with, they held him for 2 days to cover the restaurant tab. Clean slate, see you later. The good times were over. Shame, really, because in that cell he had a roof over his head. The cops gave him free water, and a Cambodian family, it's a mother and her son, fed him rice and even gave him a mat so he wouldn't sleep on bare concrete. Now that says something about humanity. This kid screwed up every possible way, and random strangers in a jail cell, people with their own problems, are sharing their food with him. The Cambodian family probably had even less than he did, and they still helped. Meanwhile, thousands of tourists were partying on Beach Road, dropping hundreds of dollars on bottle service and ladyboy shows, and not one of them noticed a starving kid on the street. Funny how the world works. And once again, homeless Daniil found himself on the street. No phone, no belongings, no money. Except for 120 baht some kind cop slipped him for the road. Even that's interesting. Some cop took pity on him and threw him enough cash for a couple meals. In a system where nobody has to care, somebody did. After wandering around for another day, the guy went back to tourist police, this time as an actual tourist asking for help. Tourist police contacted Russian volunteers who regularly help Russian speakers in trouble in Pattaya. They tracked down Daniel's family through the Russian social network VK. He couldn't remember a single phone number by heart. This is a Gen Z thing that blows my mind. We've completely outsourced our memory to our phones. Ask anyone under 25 to recite their parents' phone number and watch them draw a blank. Daniil literally had no way to contact anyone because everything was saved on a device that was now in pieces. His parents were beyond relieved they'd lost their son. Coming back from Egypt, they found a note at home. Goodbye. Don't look for me. I'm leaving the country for good. Can you imagine? You're on vacation, having a good time, come home and find out your 20-year-old son ran away to Thailand with some half-baked plan to start a new life. The parents had already filed a missing person report and figured out he'd flown to Thailand. But the consular services weren't working. New Year's holidays had started. They tried to buy tickets ASAP to bring their wayward kid home. But during the holidays, economy costs as much as business class had to wait. Russian consular services in Thailand probably deal with cases like this every week. Young Russians show up with dreams of cheap living and beach paradise, then reality hits them like a freight train. The volunteers found Daniil a bed in Pattaya for a week until his flight, gave him a strictly rationed 100 baht cash per day. These volunteers, they're the unsung heroes. They work for free, dealing with every kind of disaster. People who got scammed, people who overdosed, people who got in bar fights, people who married bar girls after knowing them for 3 days, and somehow they keep their sanity. Water! Please, get me more water, was his only request at the 7-Eleven. After days of dehydration, that's all he could think about. Not food, not cigarettes, just water. Why'd you dump the suitcase with winter clothes? Asked the volunteer who'd promised his parents to keep an eye on him. He answered quietly, almost matter-of-factly, I figured I wouldn't need it anymore. I didn't see the point in continuing, saw no way out. Got tired of being hungry and wandering around. Pause. But I couldn't go through with it. And there it is. The dark truth nobody wants to talk about. This wasn't just a travel mishap. The kid got so desperate, so hopeless that he was ready for anything. At 20 years old, in paradise, that's what rock bottom looks like. Daniil's back home now. Thankfully, it all ended well. Whether this experience taught him anything, time will tell. Some people learn from their mistakes. Some need to make the same mistake 5 times before it sinks in, and some never learn at all. Part of me hopes this scared him straight, that he realizes how close he came to something much worse than hunger, that he appreciates his parents, his home, his boring normal life. But another part of me knows how young guys think. At 20, you feel invincible, think you know everything. One bad experience might not be enough to override that. So here's my question for you. Is he an idiot, a victim of his own naivety, or just a really young guy who found himself alone in a foreign country? Honestly, all three. He's an idiot for bringing 6,000 baht to start a new life in Thailand, for pawning his iPhone for half its value, for getting high and losing everything, for carrying his passport to bars. He's a victim of naivety for believing Thailand would be some magical paradise where everything works itself out, for not researching visa requirements, cost of living, or basic safety precautions. And yeah, he's just a young guy who got in way over his head. We've all done stupid things at 20. Most of us just got lucky that our dumb decisions didn't end with us sleeping on a beach in Southeast Asia. Drop a comment. What would you have done in his shoes when the money and food ran out? Would you have gone to the police? Or would you have chosen jail too? Because here's the thing. His solution was crazy, but it worked. He identified a problem. I'm starving and homeless. And he found a solution: commit a minor crime, get fed and sheltered for 48 hours. Is that smart or desperate? You tell me. I read every comment. This story deserves an honest conversation.